So if cooking is a big hobby of yours, you might have noticed that when researching into recipes that a lot of recipes have chicken stock as an ingredient. And the easiest answer for that is to use a base like this one that's made by Better Than Bouillon. And honestly, these things do make really good stocks, but the best stocks are homemade stocks, and this is how you make homemade chicken stock. So the first thing I want to do is clear up a little bit of terminology. In general, stocks are made from bones and broths are made from meats. Now you will get a little bit more collagen and gelatin extraction from bones, but you're going to get more flavor out of meats. So for home preparations, it's a good idea to use a mixture of the two. So the next question you might be wondering is, how many pounds of bones does it take to make how much stock? Well, in general, a good ratio to keep in the back of your head is 8 pounds of bones plus 1 pound of mirepoix will produce 1 gallon of stock. And this is pretty much the ratio that's used in just about any culinary textbook you're going to come across. And while these aren't necessarily the end-all be-all ratios of how to make a good stock, these will produce a well-flavored, full-bodied stock. But it also sort of depends on what you're using the stock for. For example, if you're using the stock to make your Thanksgiving gravy or a chicken noodle soup, you probably want the stock to be full-flavored. But if you're using it for something like cooking rice or cooking pasta or vegetables or something like that, you can probably get away with using fewer bones and vegetables in the stock. So I'm starting off with a 10-pound bag of leg quarters because that's the cheapest form of chicken there is, and after covering them in a pot by about 3 inches, place the pot on the stovetop over high heat, and as the pot heats up, it will begin to cloud up in the initial stages. And when the pot reaches a simmer, skim off all the gunky shit that comes up to the surface, and don't be afraid to dig your skimmer down a little bit and break more of this stuff loose, because you definitely want this stuff out of the pot. And after you've gotten everything pretty well cleaned up, drop the heat down to low and gently simmer the chicken pieces for about 2.5 hours. So a few moments ago, when I went over the ratio for making stocks, I mentioned something called mirepoix. And mirepoix is a mixture of 2 parts onion, 1 part celery, and 1 part carrots. So along with your 8 pounds of bones, you want to use 1 pound of this, and again, this is going to make 1 gallon of stock. And all I did was just roughly chop this stuff up. It doesn't have to be precise or exact. Large chunks are perfectly fine because it's going to cook for about 45 minutes. So with this stuff cut up now, let's toss it into the pot and get some herbs in there as well. Jumping back over to the stovetop, go ahead and drop in the vegetables along with a few parsley stems, thyme sprigs, and a few bay leaves. Then stir it up and simmer it for another 45 minutes. And after that, it's ready to be strained through a few layers of cheesecloth into a large mixing bowl. And the following day, after spending a night in the refrigerator, you'll notice that the fat has risen to the top and solidified. And all you have to do now is skim that fat off, place it into a bunch of Tupperware containers, put it in the freezer, and you're good to go.